I think I got audio now. All right, I got audio. All right, I've been watching a few of these channels. I don't know who this guy is, but he's one of a few, I
Only
guess.
you
This
know.
is
It ain't even
apparently a
yours
niche,
because you are
is
drowning in debt.
reviewing people's videos about their payment and their financial situations and stuff. I like one of the things that this guy said. He acknowledged that a lot of these kids are being open and vulnerable with their situations, and that says a lot that you're able to like admit that you made a mistake, you fucked up, or whatever the case may be, or maybe you're just so desperate for views you're willing to, you know, give up some of your privacy. Whatever the case is, I think that is interesting. So let's hear kind of a couple of these that he's got to talk about.
Debt and you can't even really afford the payments. You're so drowned in debt that it throws off your entire debt to income ratio. You can't build credit, you can't go out and get a house because whenever any lender looks at you, they see a huge liability. And the numbers don't lie. You know, some
I
I know a
mean,
person.
like the stuff he's talking about is so basic. It's just so basic. And this goes back to what a lot of people talk about, which is kids don't have financial literacy because it's not important to the people that control this stuff. Whatever. And the parents ain't paying attention. Therefore, the kids don't know stuff about basic, like interest rates. I mean, how difficult would it be to have a couple days during school and explain to them, say, how an amortization schedule works, right? You can use that anytime you're borrowing money to be able to go on Excel and write out an amortization schedule, or even go to a website with the amortization schedule calculator. Should be just the basics. Man, ain't glad I'm not writing the subject matter for schools, because that would be a really big one. It would give them a way to, anytime they hear loan, whether it's car, house, whatever, to just go to the schedule and, put in, you don't even have to know what an interest rate is, right? Just put it in there. Is it 5? Is it 12? Whatever it is, realize that column adds up to all the interest you paid. So the number you're looking at is the purchase price of whatever it is, plus all the interest you paid. That equals what? And how long is it going to take me to do this, to clear this? Oof, that's not looking good. It's going to take me 7 years to pay this off, and I'm paying another $12,000 on top of my I don't know, $40,000 payment. Basic stuff. Anybody can learn it, and it's just a shame that schools are teaching whatever they're teaching besides basic stuff. Anyhow, that's another way that we don't really we value our children. We say we value our children, but it's just not evident to me. Giving kids the basic skills on when it comes to loans and stuff. Financial literacy. There's a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. He understands this to be, I know a lot of people don't like him, whatever, okay, but he still developed a program to teach people financial literacy, right? He did. And I think a lot of people have benefited from it. If you don't know about it, go look it up. Robert Kiyosaki's got these, I'll put a link in the description about this. It's some type of game that teaches you financial literacy. Check that out in the description. I'll put that in here. This is just another way in which adults really don't, they say they care about kids, but do we really? It doesn't seem like it. If you're talking about education, if you love children, you're going to want them to be prepared to be able to succeed, right? Instead, it seems like, a lot of older people were told your child will be successful if they go to school, right? That's what we're told, because we want our children to be successful. So hey, kid, go to college. That way, I know that I help you through college. I'll help you to succeed. So what I'm saying is, it's not just the kid's fault. It's our parents' fault, because we ain't thinking, right? We're not. Everybody likes to take the easy route, whether you're a kid or whether you're a parent. When we say the word parent, it kind of presumes that, oh, we're the smart people that know how to make good decisions. We're all, should I say, lacking in knowledge, or even from a legal standpoint, we are unsophisticated. We don't know. We were never taught. If we never taught, how are we going to teach our kids, right? What I'm saying is everybody's responsible for this situation. What are we, 29th, 30th in education? Now, a lot of people think that that's intentional. I, for one, think that that's obviously intentional. If you're going to make, because the government doesn't work for the people, let's face it, right? And the stupider we are, the more they can suck and drain our energy out. And it is very intentional. To think that this is by accident or just because of money, I'm sorry, that's not the case. You can make a lot of money in educating people. Let's say the government had a contract put out to different organizations and said, hey, we will pay you X amount of money to make people proficient in all areas, math, geography, just make them super smart like you think they would when you graduate college, where you're going to know something to do like amortization schedule. Of course, you put that in there. But let's just say a company was given this contract. I know for a fact that the right people would have come together and make that happen. There is money in educating people, but the government or whoever is not going to say that. Of course they're not going to say that. The only thing that's important to them is how they can drain energy out of people. Because once you begin to educate people, it limits your ability to use, whatever type of means it's going to take to drain more energy out of them, lie to them. They become more sophisticated. You're going to have, obviously, financial training, even psychological, not just training, but education, basic psychology. Be familiar with how certain people want to fuck with you. I mean, this is big. I had a class like that when I was in 4th grade. I kid you not, a long, long time ago. And this was in Easton, Pennsylvania. But I'll never forget that class when they explained that corporations, through their marketing and advertising commercials, will fuck with your head. They told me that in 4th grade. I know 4th graders don't hear nothing like that right now, but it was good to know. That way you look at stuff a little differently. These people coming at you trying to sell stuff to you, are they fucking with my head? So I'm just saying that and we can agree to disagree. You think, or people might think it's just for money. I think it's 100% intentional that the school system is as bad as it is. I think a lot of teachers will tell you. There's this woman that I follow. Her name is Lisa Loom. You should hear. I can't remember what it is, but maybe I got to start writing things down. I want to put it in the description. But I'll put it in the description on this so you can see her. She'll tell you. She'll tell you she knows it's intentional. Teacher. And maybe some of you can tell me out there whether or not she's legit. She might not be. I always say that about everything because I never know what the CIA is mess, because that's what they do. There is so much CIA in media to make the public think certain things. Me, myself, in terms of my process of how I use discernment, it's like, okay, is this... See, when I say CIA, they've been involved in media for years, and they're very, very, very good at it. And the techniques that they employ, you really have to be on the lookout for. They use, to an extent, a thing called controlled opposition. That's a big one you got to look out for. Everybody's got their, people who understand these and look at this way and use discernment. There's certain folks in the media we think are controlled opposition, and I'm not saying these people are or not, okay? I'm not. But when you think of that, the top ones, say, on the right, or I would say that aren't going with the Democrats, right? That the ones that are going against this weird democratic liberal thing, and that's not all right, so Joe Rogan is one, could be one. Alex Jones could be controlled opposition. And I have a very specific reason why I say that I can't even talk about right now. it's that explosive. There's a certain story behind something he got in trouble for that he's not being honest about. He doesn't talk about, but it's there. I don't know why all of a sudden he stopped talking about that. I don't, anyhow, whatever. Who else do they consider controlled? Some people think Tucker Carlson is controlled opposition. And then you've got these all right, so I'm getting too much into controlled opposition. But the point is that when you're trying to seek information, you do have to use, you got to know who your enemy is, first of all, right? CIA, largely, you could say, is your enemy. They do use media, so you got to understand their tactics. This is like all about Sun Tzu, Art of War. Who is your enemy? Well, I guess, I didn't read the damn book, but I understand what the hell he's saying. First thing you gotta know is what you want. Your enemy is defined by people who are in the way of what you do want, right? Then, once you've identified the enemy, you gotta start to characterize the enemy. Once you characterize the enemy, you have to learn how they work. You have to understand what their methods are, okay? So when it comes to the revolution, all right, bringing this to the revolution, we need to know who the enemy is and understand their methods. You know how like you watch some of those movies with the Nazis, they talk about the methods. Even in Get Smart, a lot of the old folks might remember Get Smart. Remember that? Remember Chaos? What was that? His arch nemesis, his name. There's a lot of this in that, by the way. That's what I like to bring up. That's why the organization was called Chaos. Look at all this chaos we got going around. Yeah, anyhow. All right. So I'm going to end this video now, in this stream. Well, let me see. They got any watchers? No, look at that. I am talking to myself. It's okay. I'll talk to myself. I'm going to keep talking to myself. All right, but this gives me content. I am going to put this up on the YouTube thing because I am recording it, right? All right, I'm getting better at doing this, at using OBS. OBS is pretty sweet. Window capture. There we go. That's the window. And if I want to make this bigger, here's another one. Here's another guy that I watch.
Did he pass the law?
A little annoying.
And set a budget to fix all of this?
He does talk a lot about.
Or did he just set the?
He does talk a lot about real estate. I do watch a lot of real estate stuff. I have my real estate license. If you're interested in buying or selling, hey, reach out to me. Let me know. I can tell you anything you need to know. And this guy, actually, what he does is he'll sell you a loan.
The law and just say, they got to figure it out. So if you are putting your hope in a politician, I don't care what side you're on. It doesn't matter. A politician in general. If you believe that a politician is going to jump in to save you, you're going to be waiting for a very long time. You're going to be waiting forever.
100%.
So this is prime property in South Florida.
They are two of the owners who filed a lawsuit in mid-May in Miami-Dade Circuit Court. They are suing Two Roads Development, the real estate firm that now owns the building. Unit owners allege they were manipulated, deceived, bullied, and...
Okay, you get it. I'm bringing this up because it's financial adjacent, right? Like I said before, I do real estate. This has to do with real estate values ultimately, right? Because right now, the real estate market in certain areas aren't doing so great. The real estate markets that everybody was moving into, en masse, whether it be Texas, Florida, those are the two big ones. They are having some serious issues right now. Now, a lot of people think that this issue is just going to be confined to these areas. It's not likely to be the case. There's some dominoes that are going to topple over the next 18 months, probably. Last 2 houses I sold, I told my folks, because I have to, because it's not because I have to, but it's my job as a realtor to protect the public. I need to make sure that they know what they're getting into. So, of course, I tell my buyers, there are signs that the economy is not doing so great, okay? And you may take a hit in values over the next 5 years, 7 years. I'm not sure, but be prepared for that to happen, okay? In other words, there's going to be a time when what you owe on it will be, to an extent, greater than what the house is valued at. So when you buy, make sure you're at least going to be holding on for a minimum of 10 years. Preferably, 15 to 20 years. You want to hold on to this house to make sure you get the value out of it long term. That's what I tell my buyers. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, the economy's going to do fine. There's going to be a correction, and it's not going to be a big deal. Interest rates are going to come down. Buyers are going to come in. This is all that positive stuff that they like to tell, because people want to sell, right? But this goes back to education, and I'm talking about financial literacy. It's just, I am glad that I believe some HUD programs, FHA programs require buyers to have classes. I've never taken these classes. I don't think actually that's sufficient. The level of financial sophistication goes back to being a sophisticated public, which we are not. And we demonstrate that all the time. And I know that we're to blame for that. Okay, so this goes back to this idea that I want to be the natural law attorney for the United States. Okay, there's stuff that we got to deal with, right? Before we make a plan to move forward, we got to deal with some shit. And that has to do with us understanding that it's basically our choice to be unsophisticated, or it's our choice to be divided. It's our choice to be ignorant. Just like the movie Red Pill, Blue Pill. It's all about a choice. So the revolution is us agreeing to say, okay, we are no longer choosing the blue pill. We are going to choose the red pill. With that, we understand that means we need to work to build power, which means knowledge of the inside and out, and love on the inside and out, and no longer agreeing to give our power away by accepting the stupidity that comes out of the education system and mainstream media, because that's all that is ignorant, stupid shit. Oh my God. And we're going to cut out this, or do a really good job, because look, people are going to be conservative or liberal minded, but there's nothing wrong with that. But to let somebody come in there and tell you that you got to hate the other one, that has to go away immediately. And so, yeah, I consulted AI and thought it had a good idea, and of course it's not going to say your idea is terrible. I mean, I don't even know if I can trust this AI thing. But all right, for those of you that weren't around yesterday, I'm going to find this. I'm going to bring this up again. Chat GPT. Okay, so yesterday I asked Chat GPT to let me know if it thought this item. All right, let me set up chat. Oh, that was easy. Okay, yeah. So let me bring up yesterday. Knowledge versus love and fear. All right, so one of the things I want to hone in on here is what, I asked it for exactly step-by-step plan of action. Define the identity and brand, because that's what you got to do to market stuff. You got to have identity and brand. Now, the olive branch project, because I said, how do I get the conservatives to extend an olive branch to the liberals? And they said, the olive branch project. Oh, how creative. So my actual idea is different than this, but, okay, yeah, I like it. I like it. A red hand and a blue hand holding a green olive branch. Ooh, look at that. And if you're just joining in, maybe there's nobody watching. That's okay. Current viewers, 0. It's okay. I am going to, wait a second. This is my stream. Let's see, okay, it's a little bit delayed. All right, so you get what I'm saying, right? I asked ChatGPT to kind of consult me on the idea of selling to conservatives that they need to extend an olive branch to the and this is it has to be done ground level. This is a grassroots thing, right? Ain't got nothing to do with no Fox News, no NBC, none of that bullshit, none of that CIA, none of that George Soros. This is all, when they're capitalists, you can just lump all of what I said. I want to put it in language that liberals often speak to. You can call them capitalists. Problem I have with saying that is because there's a whole lot of people that are so-called capitalists, and we've benefited a lot. We've benefited a lot to an extent I don't think people realize from what we call capitalism. So I'd like liberals to kind of think about maybe considering calling it crony capitalism. At least it gets us a little closer to it. But you get what I'm saying? They use these techniques to fuck with us. So anytime we want to get ahead in any kind of way, anytime we want to learn the truth about stuff, they get in the way. So, video content, recruit conservative voices as ambassadors. Yep, that's right. And their job, I'll be very specific about this, okay? These ambassadors, their job is to build a forum and bring liberals into that forum and get liberals and conservatives to talk to each other. One of the things that I would recruit for that, that's right. And I thought about this before in a different scenario, but in terms of the people being the ambassadors to this, you almost kind of have to look at this as a mediation that I'm thinking psychologists, psychiatrists to lead that type of discussion. Because they can't be seen as being for one or the other, right? And it takes a certain type of person to be able to mediate that type of forum. Liberals on one side, conservatives on the other. Like, I'm not either, so where do I sit? I'll be honest with you, I'd be sitting with the conservatives because I'm less afraid of them. I'll be honest, I'm afraid of liberals. They have been, and that's something that I would want to say. I would say, hey, like say the liberal people, I gotta look at them. There's a certain way you talk. You don't want to accuse anybody. You say like, what? I'm afraid to tell you how I feel when I'm around you. That's one thing I'd want to say. because it's true. I'm afraid. It's walking on eggshells. They need to hear that, right? Do they care? Okay, and then say liberals might say something like, I'm afraid of you because I don't understand why you're accepting authoritative fascism. So that makes me think you're crazy. I understand that you feel that way, but your media is lying to you. Okay, let's talk about the media. Media is run by who? Capitalists. Well, you say you don't like the capitalists, why are you listening to the media? I don't know how that conversation would work. There's a lot of psychological stuff going on because that's, it's a fact. A lot of this is a psychological operation that is, in fact, meant to divide people. That's what it is. So, I think some education in the form of, that's something that I think is important to talk about because, why are you divided in the first place? And the answer is because of a psychological operation. That's just true. And since that's not really talked about in the mainstream, people aren't used to talking about it, but I think it's really important. In other words, you basically have an instigator. You got somebody who wants you to fight. You got somebody whose goal is divide and conquer. And it's working really good, and it's a good thing for everybody to realize that so they can see who the real enemy is. That's right. These people who are doing this divide and conquer bullshit, those are the people who are the real enemies. They really are. So with that said, I got no viewers, but I am gonna still load this up. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow night. I gotta go do some real estate stuff right now in Detroit, Michigan.